inkproducts.com has now released its continuous ink supply system for the Epson Expression XP-600 and XP-800. I'm going to install the continuous ink system on the XP-600. There's no cutting of the printer. You don't have to do anything. Very simple to install. This is our Executive Series 2. It's going to come with the cartridges with the COC Smart technology, backflow dampers, isobaric air chamber, all the necessary parts to install it. This is something new. These are our ink tank catches. It goes on the ink tank. It's going next to the printer. Can't be knocked over. And the first thing you're going to do when you get the system is you're going to balance that isobaric chamber. Just slowly rock it. Take your time. That takes all the ink out of the isobaric chamber. Now this is going to be set up with the ink tank on the left side. These are purging syringes if you need them. Should you run it out of ink, just remove the little plugs and you can purge right from there. You got to have it out of the printer when you're purging it. Another thing I like to point out, the orange clips. Before you take them off, I want you to mark black, cyan, yellow, magenta, and photo black. And the reason for that, when you got to put them back on, you don't contaminate the bottom of the cartridge by putting the wrong clip on. Now this black takes a pigmented black. This is a special ink. Then you have dye base ink. This is an Ultra Pro 2-color dye base, and this is Ultra Pro pigmented ink. That's what goes in this printer. That's the way Epson set it up. So now I'm going to open it up. Okay. Now I want to bring the cartridges over. Those are our refillable cartridges. So I'm going to close the lid for a minute. Then I'm going to bring it over to get the setup. Trying to get this easy for you so you can see it. Bring it over till you get the setup. Press OK. We're going to go. It says ink level. Press OK. Cartridge replacement. You're going to arrow down. Say OK. Now I want you to lift the lid. Cartridges are going to move over. Now, normally on a CISS you would unplug it, but on this one here you don't need to do that. So now let's just take the cartridges out. These are our refillables. Some people don't like CISS. Doesn't matter. You do a lot of printing, our continuous ink system works quite well. Okay, now we're going to get 3 hose brackets. They look like this. Now you want to clean the plastic with a little rubbing alcohol. Take off any of the mold release grease from the plastic. We're going to put one right here, and you're going to put one right here at the end, and you got one more that's going to go in the center. I'll show you that last. But you're going to peel and stick the one right here near the edge, just like this. So peel and stick it right there. Now I peeled and put this one down. If you notice where I put it, it's right near that little indentation in the cover. Same thing on the other side. There's a little indentation. I put it right there. Now we're going to put the next one that's going to hold the hose right here. Okay, now this is the one that's going to hold the hose. I'm going to bring it right close to that little interlock jumper there. A little hole, a square hole right there. So I've got one here, and one here. Now we're going to take off the clips and put the cartridges in. I've marked all the orange clips. Have some paper towel handy because when you take it off, you might get a dribble or two of ink and you might get it on your hands. And then there's one other thing I'd point out. We have an interlock that goes on the top here. So that's when you show the cover, it thinks the cover is completely closed. So I'm going to take them off the orange clip and place them in. Now you're just going to peel them back here, and a clip will come off. Take your time. I'm holding in my one hand, taking them off. If I hold a little bit higher, and I set them down in there, and I push down hard to click them in. Hear them click. There you go. There. It's going to come off just like this. Now, what I'm going to do is, normally I would just run it back and then do hose travel. But I'm going to unplug the printer right now. Reach behind here and unplug it so I can set up the rest of it. Sometimes you don't have to do this, but I'm going to do this for the video purpose. I closed it. I can move it all the way over. First thing I'm going to do is put in that very first hose bracket in the center. That's what I'm going to do. See how much hose I got out? That's all I need. I'm going to put it right there. You don't need to put it in the other brackets because you're going to run it right out. Now you can put it at this one here, but not in this, of course. Okay, I've got the one in here. It's coming across. Take up some of the slack. And it's going to come out here. And I'll probably put one more. You're going to get actually 4 with the kit. And I saved those orange clips. If you ever need to take it out or to prime it, you're going to need these. So don't lose the orange clips. Put them somewhere where you can remember they're going to be. And then you're going to put it right next to the printer, and I'm going to show you how to put on the safety catch. Okay, now I'm going to put the safety catch on. One with the arrow, and one has a letter on it, depending on which one you get. One with the arrow, I'm going to place it right about there with the arrow facing down. The reason is the top of it is closed off. On the other one, the top is not closed off. So the first one I'm going to put on is going to be right about there. I'll peel and stick it on, and then I'll stick the next one on, peel it, and push it against the printer. That's how you're going to do that. Okay, now I put it on. I'm not going to stick that to it yet, because there's one more thing we have to do. We have to open up the air plugs. You have to open it down. Now there's air plugs. The one up front, they're the fill plugs. One in back are the air plugs. They have to remain open for the printer to work. But they both cannot be open at the same time. Close the small one, open the big one to fill it. That's how you're going to do it. Now you might want to take a paper napkin and grab the little plug and pull it out so you won't get ink on your fingers. Now sometimes when you have to put these plugs in, they're very hard to get in. Use a little liquid soap, just a little bit on your finger. That'll make it go in. But normally you can just take them out, put them back in. Now this chamber is not being used. It's capped off. Now I open that up. I open them all up. Make sure not to do any more. When you close it, it protects it from light and protects it from the dust. As the ink level drops down, you'll be able to see here. When it goes below half, you want to start filling that ink chamber back up. I'm going to turn it around. I've got my other hose clip here. I put on the safety catch. So when I put it next to the printer, then it can't be knocked over. I peel it off. Now you notice I left it on here. I want to take it off because I'll never be able to line it up. And I bring it over whereabouts I want to put it, and I push it, press it. Okay, now I got it in there. Put the hose here. You can adjust this any way you want. That's up to you. I'm just giving you, some guidelines here of what you should do. Now we'll be able to close the lid, and now we'll plug it back in. Just want to point this out before I go any further. On the syringes it says discard after use. These are veterinarian syringes, so don't throw them away because you're not dealing with blood. And don't wash them out. If you use yellow, mark yellow on it. Mark all the different colors so you don't get the syringes mixed up. And I plugged it in to turn it on. Takes a second. Okay, it comes on up. Takes a second. It's going to check the cartridges. Can arrow over to setup. Okay. Now that's the first error code. Cannot recognize the following cards. Try reinstalling them again. Okay? That's because we had it unplugged. Lift it up. It's going to come over. I'm going to take them all out, pop them loose, then put them back down. Pop them up, because we had the printer unplugged. Now snap it back down. Now, when it shows one color empty, like yellow, you're going to bring it over, pop it up, hit the catch, pop it up a little bit, and then reseat it back down. That's how you reset the color. Because the Epson firmware doesn't know that you're using an aftermarket. Close the lid. I'm going to say, wait a second. Going to go back and check it. Say okay. Now it says, on this one, it says, you have not installed genuine Epson cartridges. Okay. 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 Yes. Now let's look at the ink levels. They're all full. When one of the colors goes down, it's going to report cannot recognize. You're going to open the lid. It's going to move over. You're going to unclick that cartridge a little bit, lift it up, then push it back down. And you can close the lid. That's how you reset the color. Go back to here. I'm going to go setup. Make sure this tray is out. If it's not out, you're going to get an error code. I'm going to go to maintenance. I'm just going to do a nozzle check. Let it print out a nozzle check. Now I've opened up. The air plug's in the tank. Tank is secure. Everything, we're almost done now. Now it's going to take a minute or two because it's cleaning the print head, because you just put new cartridges in. This printer cleans a lot. So I'm going to show you how to save ink and money. Because this printer cleans even if you're not using it. You'll hear it go into a cleaning cycle. Hear it? Okay, now I put a piece of paper in the interlock just so you can see everything go back and forth. Now I'll do that nozzle check. Now, it takes about 2 or 3 minutes when you first put the system in. Now came nozzle check. Perfect. You see one of 2 little broken lines? Don't try to fix it. Now, that's the way it works, back and forth. Now, don't ever take these orange plugs out. Those are only for priming should you run the ink out. If you take them out, system's not going to work. I'm going to say done. I'm going to take the paper out, close the lid, interlock will trigger that we give you, go back to home. Now we're going to go to the computer and I'm going to print out a test sheet. You can do it from the scanner if you want, but I'm going to do it from the computer because I want to show you how to set this up. Now I brought up the XP-600. It's a good printer. I like the printer, I really do. I'm going to set it for all the time, no matter what I print, unless I'm doing photos, then I'll set it for this. Text, image. If you set it for text or draft, you'll clean more and waste a lot more ink. If you follow this, like I tell you, it prints awesome and it uses less ink because there's less cleaning. So I'm going to say okay. I have my test sheet behind there. I'm going to say 3. Press okay. Now you're going to get an error message going to pop up. Going to say you're not using genuine Epson cartridges. Click continue. And the Epson icon will come up and you'll start to print. Now that's a lot of solid there. That'll eat up that ink real quick. If you have cartridges 30, 40 pages like this, you'll be out of ink. Now I turned over to the printer, watching it print out. Perfect. That's how simple it was. We didn't have to cut the printer. We didn't have to do anything. Now the next part I'm going to show you is how to reset when you cannot recognize. I just went in and just to clean the print head because I want to use up some of the ink. So I can show you how, when you cannot recognize the cartridge, what to do. So this will take a minute or two, and then I'm going to run solid yellow and to deplete the yellow. Remember, the printer doesn't know that you have a tank of ink alongside of the printer. It's going to think that you have Epson cartridges in there and they're running out of ink. And I've set up the printer, text and image. Now I'm going to make a solid yellow, so let me get out of here. I'm going to open up another one. I'm going to make this solid yellow, just so you can see how to reset the color. I go to print again, pick the printer. Got a lot of printers. We test a lot of printers here. Okay, now I have the XP-600. I've already set the properties to text and image. Say OK. I put 10 in. It's going to start to print. I pick text image, 10 of them, solid yellow. Now let's see what's going to happen. Now I'm using scrap paper. We use a lot of paper here, so I just turn it over and use scrap. Now with this much yellow, we should get that cannot recognize cartridge. And then I'm going to show you how to reset it. Shouldn't take too many, because that's a lot of ink I'm laying down. Okay, now you get cannot recognize the following cartridge. So now you got to reset that color. You lift up, let the cartridges come over the cartridge, change position, reach in, unclick it, lift it up just a little bit, snap it back down, close the lid. Takes a second. That's how easy it was to reset it. Okay. It says you didn't install Genuine. Keep clicking along. And now it'll go back to printing. But I'm going to cancel right now, because it didn't print out all 10. Now let's take a look at the ink. Setup, ink level. It reset the yellow right up. Now you can see the other colors have dropped just a little bit, because I really, that's a lot of yellow to print. That's a lot of yellow. That's how simple it was. Say OK. That's it. You set up your continuous ink system. Now I want to point this out. A lot of these new printers, a lot of them, HP, Canon, even the HPs. I'm going to pull out this paper tray. That doesn't hold very much paper. So these are not production printing machines. Just because you put a continuous ink system on it doesn't mean you can run thousands of copies. It wasn't designed for that. So you can run 25, 30 copies, and that's about it, and then you'll have to refill the paper. So the continuous ink system is for convenience. It's not for production. So bear that in mind when you purchase it. Just like the refillable cartridges. They're to save you money, and they're for convenience. That paper tray is so small that I know people are going to try to run 100, 150 copies, and it's not going to turn out good for them. Printers are not designed for that. The cartridges within 25 sheets on most of these things, you're running heavy graphics, it's going to call for a new cartridge.